Hi, I'm Rebecca Ball-Carcel. Let's talk about Traveling Through the Dark, a poem by William Stafford. It tells a story, which means it's a narrative poem, and it starts like this. Traveling through the dark, I found a deer, dead, on the edge of the Wilson River Road. It is usually best to roll them into the canyon. That road is narrow. To swerve might make more dead. So immediately we see this is a somber incident. He's driving along. He encounters a dead deer on the road. And it's the Wilson River Road. So there's a river nearby. Probably the canyon goes down to the water. From experience, he knows that the best thing is to shove the body of the deer off the road down into the canyon. Otherwise, another car coming along may hit the deer, and that could cause an accident, or a motorcycle, an even worse accident probably. Or if a car swerves to avoid the deer, it could hit an oncoming car. So more dead means human life might be compromised if he swerves and doesn't take care of this problem right now. So, as in life, he thinks that he needs to face this problem and he should step up and be the one to do something about it. Unlike someone who might swerve and just go around the problem, leaving it for someone else to worry about, he's going to fix it now. And he knows what to do, probably from having lived in rural areas. Here's the next scene of the story. By glow of the tail light, I stumbled back of the car and stood by the heap, a doe, a recent killing. She had stiffened already, almost cold. I dragged her off. She was large in the belly. So this section of the story shows him stumbling back of the car. So he gets out of his car, goes to the back. This is where the doe is. Doe means a female deer. It's a heap, and that hints as to the size of the body. Deer are actually pretty big, and out in a field they don't look so big, standing nibbling some grass or something. But up close to a car, they are large animals. No wonder such an obstacle would be dangerous for a car. He can tell that the body is already starting to stiffen from rigor mortis. It's starting to get cold. As he drags the body away, he starts to realize that this female deer is large in the belly. And this raises a flag in his mind, raises a concern that maybe the deer is pregnant. And indeed, the next stanza explains that, yes, she is. My fingers touching her side brought me the reason. Her side was warm. Her fawn lay there, waiting, alive, still, never to be born. Beside that mountain road, I hesitated. So this makes him hesitate, the fact that there's a baby deer inside the mother. Now, is there anything he can do differently? That's the question. And his hesitation is for that purpose, to think of another plan. Maybe there's something he could do. Maybe this life that's not gone yet could be saved. It's a little unrealistic to think he could somehow deliver that baby deer, because it may not even be ready to be delivered. I mean, it wasn't born yet, probably because it's not time to be born yet. But he hesitates. He knows very well what he should do, but he stops, feeling the warm side of the deer, knowing that's an alive creature there, makes him wait and think. And the next stanza is an elongated moment of him thinking. So this hesitation takes up 4 lines of all its own. It's as if the poem has been slowing down more and more. We started out in a regular time with things going by at their normal speed, but now, starting here, we've gone into slow motion. The car aimed ahead, its lowered parking lights. Under the hood purred the steady engine. I stood in the glare of the warm exhaust turning red. Around our group, I could hear the wilderness listen. So here's his moment of thinking and hesitation. This is his moment of trying to think of something that might work, that might save this life. 4 lines are given to just this moment, and nothing else is happening. In the previous stanzas, he is driving or he's getting out of the car, but now he's just waiting. And William Stafford was smart to do this. It not only puts us into slow motion so we can see the thinking going on, but it shows how concerned the speaker is about this problem. He doesn't take it lightly. He wishes he could think of something. Now, it's nice that he personifies the car. He says the car aimed its lowered parking lights and then that it purrs. It's almost like an animal, too. It has a steady engine. It's idling. And he stands in the warm glare of the exhaust. So the exhaust coming out of the tailpipe of the car, it turns red because of the tail light being red. And you can just picture that in your mind. It's a very visual moment here where we can see him standing at the back of the car, the smoke coming out of the tailpipe. Well, it's not exactly smoke, but exhaust. And it turns red. And he's just frozen because he's thinking, is there anything I can possibly do? Now, the last line is my favorite. Around our group, I could hear the wilderness listen. So it's as if the wilderness too is personified and is holding its breath, waiting to see what he'll do. The wilderness is listening, the car is purring, and that's the group. Himself, the deer, the car, and the wilderness, all in a moment together, sharing this moment together. And then we have the final 2 lines, and all the other stanzas have been 4 lines long, but this has just the 2. I thought hard for us all, my only swerving, then pushed her over the edge into the river. So he says, I thought hard, and this was my only swerving. And earlier I referred to swerving as an avoiding of the problem. But here, the thinking, the moment of thinking is the only avoiding of doing what he knows he needs to do, which is to push the body into the river. He knows he needs to do it, but he does swerve. He doesn't swerve his car and leave the problem for someone else, but he swerves from his own decision, his own action that was planned. He decides to rethink it, but he comes back to the same conclusion. There really isn't anything to do but push the body over the edge into the river. So it's a sad poem because of the death of both the deer and her fawn, but it's also a statement about how sometimes life brings us a situation that doesn't have a happy ending. There won't be a beautiful outcome. Instead, you have to just go forward doing the best you can. The hard decision needs to be made. The difficult action needs to be taken. And sometimes there's no good choice. There's just the best choice of all the bad options. So it's comforting to know that those kinds of decisions are faced by everyone. And here is an example of one. Well, I hope you feel like you understand it more. And I hope you'll join me for another poem some other day.